what are you asking for? Are you asking for sort of a whole scale kind of reconsideration of not just sexual relationships, but having children? You know, do you feel like that is under threat as well with the sexual revolution?
I mean, yeah, it's not just in a handful of Western countries, it's everywhere except sub-Saharan Africa is seeing birth rates plummet, and there is lots of debate over what exactly is causing that. I think it has to come back to the pill. We invented for the first time in the history of humanity a means of suspending fertility, and it turns out that people are very motivated to have sex and they're not necessarily very motivated to have children. And we didn't know that before we revealed it through technology. I mean, I think that medical technology is just so much at the heart of modernity, for good and ill. I mean,
But surely as a feminist, you're not saying, let's roll back the pill. I mean, that surely is one of those things where most women would say that gave women the freedom. It freed them from a particular biological kind of form of, you know, a cost that allowed them actually to go into the world and to have a kind of equality ultimately with men.
The pill has brought innumerable benefits to women. I actually did my alternative life course was doing a PhD on the history of the C-section, which I almost did, and I did my master's thesis on the history of the C-section, and reading accounts of women in the era before safe cesarean was available who could not possibly give birth to a baby because of things like pelvic injuries or disabilities, which meant that the birth canal was completely obstructed, and who were having terrible procedures performed on them in their pregnancies, and their husbands kept knocking them up. You know, accounts of women who died on their 10th pregnancy, and I mean, the problem is you look at a situation like that, and the modern pro-choice feminist position, which I on the whole hold to with some reservations, is that you have to give these women the option of the pill because it's the only way in these most extreme circumstances that women can survive. But I also look at that kind of situation and I think, what a terrible thing for those men to be continuing to impregnate women for whom it was a death sentence, and a death sentence for the baby to be made pregnant. And I think the risk is of just using technology to solve our problems, or seeming to, is that it really takes the onus off human beings to do the right thing.
To be virtuous.
And that we seem to have just abandoned any effort to control men, basically, and to constrain male sexuality, which has to be constrained.
And
for the
as you
sake
say
of women.
so powerfully in this book, that the whole sexual revolution has been a boon for caddish men, for the Hugh Hefner types, you know. And so, but it's justified by contemporary liberal feminists as being something beneficial for women. But in fact, those who have benefited the most are the ones who have the most contempt for women.
Yeah. And I think that there is a sort of defeatism in thinking that we can't possibly constrain those men. We just have to try and ameliorate the effects of their behaviour. And I think that's a very sad move in feminism.
For early access to shows and for bonus content, register now at thebigconversation.show.